So you're thinking of moving to Edmond, Oklahoma, and you're trying to decide, should we move to the east side or should we move to the west side? My name is Kinsley Hauser, and I'm a local realtor in Edmond, Oklahoma and its surrounding areas. Whether you're looking to move in 10 days or 10 months, I'd love to be able to help you make a smooth move to Oklahoma. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can give me a call, text, email, DM. You can schedule a Google Meet so that we can sit down and plan your next move. I love getting to work with people every single day. Find your Oklahoma homes. So like I said in the intro, I'm going to be kind of comparing and contrasting East Edmond to West Edmond. Both parts of Edmond have some great things about them, but they are a little bit unique and different. And depending on where you're moving from, you might feel more comfortable on one side of Edmond or the other. Or maybe it is just more practical for you to live on one part of Edmond or the other. And so I'm just going to be giving you some things that I think would be helpful for you to know about East Edmond and West Edmond. If you haven't watched my East Edmond tour, then I suggest you go back and watch that. And if you haven't watched my West Edmond tour, stick around because that video is going to be uploaded in the next week or so. Because in those videos, I am kind of walking you through some of the major areas of East and West Edmond, showing you some of the grocery stores, showing you some of the parks, and I think that will really help give you an overall feel of East and West Edmond. However, in this video, I'm going to be just talking about some of the major differences. So for the video's sake, anything east of Broadway is going to be East Edmond. Anything west of Broadway is going to be West Edmond. And each of these things that I'm going to talk about, I'm talking pretty generally. Of course, there's going to be exceptions to probably everything that I say. Kind of looking at East and West kind of as a whole, these are going to be some of the things that I notice and that I think more people tend to see whenever they're moving here. So the first thing for East Edmond is that there are generally more trees in East Edmond. As you look at Oklahoma as a whole, the more east you go, the more trees you get. And that's true for Edmond as well. When you're looking at East Edmond, there's going to be generally more trees. There's generally also going to be more hills and maybe more windy roads. The neighborhoods are going to have more twists and turns than, let's say, West Edmond would have. So overall, I would say there's more scenery in East Edmond. The style of home, I would also say that there's kind of a lot of Craftsman home that you'll see in East Edmond, especially as you're getting closer to I-35. I feel like East Edmond, a lot of those neighborhoods have a lot of Craftsman style homes. If you're not sure what that means, I'll insert some pictures to kind of give you a point of reference, but I feel like you see more of those in East Edmond. Now, you'll see Craftsman style homes in West Edmond, but for the most part, you see more neighborhoods and more of that style in East Edmond. East Edmond has a lot of shopping. You have a lot of shopping on really a lot of the different corners that you're going to pass. On I-35, there is a ton of new shopping that's taking place just right off of I-35. Even more as you're getting towards the heart of Edmond, towards the middle of Edmond, you have tons of shopping. So you have Walmart, Crest, Sam's Club, you have all sorts of shopping like Ulta, Old Navy, you have the Painted Tree, which is a really cute boutique type of store. You have tons of restaurants, tons of fast food. So really in East Edmond, you have just about everything you could need. There isn't a traditional mall like you think of, like inside, but there's tons of shopping malls with tons of different shops and cute little boutiques, and also a lot of local types of stores and local restaurants and dessert shops. One of the best parts about East Edmond, in my opinion, especially for someone who's working in Oklahoma City, is that you are so close to I-35. So I-35 runs north and south through Edmond, and you can hop on I-35 and easily get down to Oklahoma City. Then you can also get on the Turnpike and even go like farther west. And so having access to I-35 so quickly and easily is definitely a pro of East Edmond. East Edmond also has a ton of established neighborhoods. I mentioned this in another video, but a lot of people move to Edmond and they like the new construction. However, a good chunk of people don't necessarily like the new construction, and they like some of the older homes and the craftsmanship and the character that is kind of in those older homes. And so in East Edmond, you really have a good mix of both. I would say that as you're looking more towards like the central part of Edmond, as you start working your way eastward, I think it tends to get newer. So like when you get to I-35, there's a lot of new development happening over there. But when you're kind of in that mid to east part of Edmond, you have a lot of those already established neighborhoods. I've helped people buy houses kind of on the eastern side of Edmond that are new, that are established, and there's definitely a good mix for everybody, just kind of depending on what you're wanting. In East Edmond, there are tons of really popular neighborhoods. Some of the ones that you might hear are Iron Horse, and Iron Horse kind of has a bunch of different neighborhoods within Iron Horse, but there's Black Oak, Iron Horse Ranch. There's just a lot of different ones. So you'll probably hear that neighborhood thrown out quite a bit. You also might hear of Twin Bridges. You also might hear of Town Square. A lot of these are going to have some of that Craftsman look to them. And so Town Square is by McCaleb Homes, and they definitely have a very Craftsman, very cute look to the houses. One of the really big pros, in my opinion, of East Edmond is how close you are to Arcadia Lake. Arcadia is beautiful, and there's so much to do there as far as sports, fishing, camping, hiking, and being on East Edmond, you are automatically like 20 minutes closer to Lake Arcadia than you would be if you were in West Edmond. So being really close to that lake, I think, is a really big bonus. Also, East Edmond houses my favorite park, and that is Hafer Park. So there's tons of trees, there's playgrounds, there's a paved trail that goes through Hafer Park. It's 1.5 miles long. It's a really just nice walk, especially because most of it's shaded. And so if it's hot outside, you're in the shade for most of your walk. So there's just a lot of really unique things to East Edmond, especially as I think the city of Edmond is trying to connect a lot of those parks. And so eventually, I believe the goal is to be able to get from Mitch Park, which is kind of on the more western side, to be able to get from there, and you can walk all the way to Lake Arcadia through different parks and areas of town. And so really they're doing a lot in East Edmond to make it really accommodating for bikers and people who are walking and running. And so definitely a lot to do outside, and there's a lot to do just in the eastern part of Edmond anyway. You have movie theaters, you have the bowling alley, you have just a lot of stuff that you can go do. Like I said earlier, tons of restaurants, tons of shopping. And so East Edmond really does have a lot. And then the final thing that I want to talk about for East Edmond is the schools. So East Edmond is going to be made up of Edmond Public Schools. So as you're looking at Edmond as a whole, there's a couple of different school districts within Edmond. But if you're on the eastern side of Edmond, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be in Edmond Public Schools. There's a very small section that might be in Oakdale, but for the most part, all of East Edmond is going to be Edmond Public Schools. And so as you are looking into Oklahoma, and this is what I'm finding with a lot of people that I'm working with, is they will search low cost of living, and Oklahoma usually pops up, and then they will search best schools in Oklahoma, and 9 times out of 10 they're directed to Edmond. So if you're looking at Edmond's school ratings, it's an A+. That's based off of things like academics, college readiness, teachers, administration. I've seen some where they even like calculate the food in the cafeteria. And so if you're looking at Edmond Public Schools, they get an overall A+ rating. That is one of the main reasons that people are moving to Edmond, is for the schools. Now there's a couple of different high schools, middle schools, elementary schools that could fall within that, but overall, Edmond Public Schools has a very high rating. So now that we've talked about East Edmond, I want to talk about West Edmond. And like I said at the beginning, they're different. A lot of people are moving to East Edmond, and a lot of people are moving to West Edmond. And East Edmond has its own charm, but West Edmond also has some things about it that I personally love. So one of the main differences is West Edmond tends to be more of a prairie land. Now there are still trees and there are still some hills. However, overall, there's much less than East Edmond. I've met with people before, and they come and visit, and they're like, from your videos, I thought that there was going to be no trees and no hills. And they're like, we're so pleasantly surprised. So I don't want to give off the impression that there's no trees, because there definitely are over in West Edmond. However, I would say that it is less than over in East Edmond. It does tend to be flatter. You can usually see farther if you're on West Edmond, especially depending on the road and the neighborhood that you're coming out of. Similar to East Edmond, you're going to have some of those established neighborhoods kind of more towards the central, and as you work your way more and more west, you're going to find newer development. So especially once you get west of Portland or 74, you're going to see tons of new development. Still a lot of open prairie land out there that maybe one day will be developed, but really, as you get farther and farther west, you're going to get more new developments. Coming soon, I'm going to try to do a tour of kind of like central Edmond or downtown Edmond. And so I'll try to talk more about those established neighborhoods in that video. But for the most part in West Edmond, the farther west you get, the newer it's going to be. When you're looking at shopping, how there was a lot in East Edmond, there's a lot of shopping centrally, and then it's kind of becoming and moving outward. That's kind of similar to West Edmond as well. As you're looking at Central Edmond, there is a lot of shopping and restaurants, but West Edmond, as it is kind of getting more and more west, is getting more and more development. So really in probably 2 years, there's going to be new restaurants and fast food and stores that we haven't even seen yet. I know there are parts of Edmond, especially off of 178th or Edmond Road. There is a lot that's coming over there, especially off of May. They've already built a new Jack B grocery, a new Starbucks, a new Qdoba. They have new apartments coming in. There's a new 7-Eleven. There's a new sushi place. There's a Great Clips. There's been so much that already has come up. But just a mile farther down off of 178th in Portland, they're going to have even more developments coming up. So that's why I said in 2 years, that place is going to be unrecognizable. They're going to have medical centers. There's going to be a Chick-fil-A. There's going to be a Ross. There's going to be a Home Goods. There's going to be another Brahms. So there's really a lot that is coming. So that big crest that came in East Edmond, we also have a new Homeland over on West Edmond. And this is off of May and 164th, right around the Rose Creek area. There's a brand new Homeland grocery. So there's just so much new development that has come and that is going to continue to come as the years progress, because so many people are moving to Edmond and so many people are moving to the western side. Now, you might be asking, why are so many people moving to the western side? And the main reason that I have seen anyway is because of Deer Creek schools. So like I mentioned earlier, when you're looking at Edmond, it's split up primarily between 2 school districts. You're going to see Deer Creek Public Schools and Edmond Public Schools. Now, those are the districts as a whole. Within those districts, there are different schools. So, like high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, etc. But a lot of people are moving to Deer Creek. Deer Creek overall is a smaller district than Edmond. It is growing rapidly. I heard a while back that every year Deer Creek grows by a whole elementary school. So there are hundreds of kids moving to Deer Creek every single year. And because of that, there's new businesses coming. And so I mentioned earlier how great of ratings that Edmond Public Schools have. As you're looking at Deer Creek schools, they have very high ratings as well. So I have a lot of people ask me, well, do you think we should try to move into Deer Creek? Should we try to move into Edmond? And honestly, I don't know that you could go wrong either way when you're looking at the scores and kind of the overall ratings of the school. Both school districts score really well on all the different categories. And so it really is just what is best for you and your family. But that is one explanation for why so many people are moving to West Edmond, is because they want to be in Deer Creek schools. So Deer Creek schools, instead of having multiple high schools, it has one high school. And instead of having multiple middle schools, it has one middle school. And they also separate out their schools very differently. So there's high school, 9th through 12th grade. They have middle school, which is 7th and 8th grade. They have an intermediate school, which every 6th grader in Deer Creek goes to the intermediate school. So there's one whole building, a whole school just for 6th grade. There is a 4th and 5th grade center, and so every 4th and 5th grader in Deer Creek goes to that one school. It's huge. It has really impressive playground, which I think helps a lot of kids as they're moving here. They have a zip line in their playground, and so it's just really an impressive looking school. And then as you get into elementary, there are more elementary schools. So you have some, just to kind of name off, you have Grove Valley, you have Rose Union, you have Prairie Vale, you have Spring Creek, you have Deer Creek Elementary. I think that's all of them. And so you do have more elementary schools. And so it really is just preference. If you find a house that you love that's in Deer Creek and you don't really have a preference between districts, then that's great. If you find a house you love in Edmond Public Schools and you don't really have a preference on district, then that's great too. Again, both school districts are super highly ranked. Some of the things about West Edmond that kind of makes it fun is in West Edmond, you are pretty close to Lake Hefner. So whereas East Edmond had Arcadia Lake, West Edmond has Lake Hefner, which is really Oklahoma City, but if you're on that western side, it does not take long at all to get on Portland and then go down to Lake Hefner. Lake Hefner has sailing. There is a huge paved trail all around Lake Hefner that's around 10 miles. I've never done it, but I've heard that it's about 10 miles. There's some good eating down there, different events that take place. So that really is a pro of West Edmond, is being close to Lake Hefner. And then also you have Mitch Park. So Mitch Park is going to be kind of like the northwestern parts of Edmond. And Mitch Park is a great park as well. You have the YMCA at Mitch Park, which is a very impressive facility. Huge, there's classes, pools, all sorts of things. But you also have a really big walking trail. I think it's 5 miles that goes around Mitch Park. You've got playgrounds, baseball fields. I would say overall it's bigger than Hafer Park from East Edmond, but it's not as shaded as you're walking through it. So if it's a really hot day, like we'll typically go to Hafer Park because it's more shaded, but Mitch Park is personally closer to me. So we go to Mitch Park as well. We love walking around over there. It really is a great park to go to, but it's just a little bit different. And so that's one thing that West Edmond has is Mitch Park. Another really good thing about West Edmond is this proximity to the Quail Springs area. So Quail Springs is kind of that northwest Oklahoma City. And at Quail Springs, you have the mall. There is a whole strip on Memorial and Penn that has tons of shopping, tons of restaurants. Really within like a mile radius, you could have anything that you need kind of in that Quail Springs area. That's really one of the convenient things. Depending on where you live in West Edmond, you might end up doing more of your shopping in northwest Oklahoma City than you even would in Edmond. Definitely that's a benefit. You've got the movie theater in the mall. Lots of stuff for you to do there. That's just another one of those little perks of West Edmond. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that it provided some clarity on some of the differences and similarities of East Edmond and West Edmond. Honestly, all of Edmond I love, and I personally live in West Edmond because of my husband's job. However, I would be super happy if we moved to East Edmond and vice versa. I just love both of them. I personally love the character and charm that I feel like East Edmond has, but I think West Edmond is getting a lot of that. As it's becoming more developed, I think it's kind of getting its own things that make it special and unique. Really, I don't think you could go wrong, but I hope this kind of gives you an idea as you're maybe looking into moving. And if you are, please call me. I know there's no way I could have answered all questions. And so if you have any questions, do not hesitate to text me or call me. And I would love just to be able to help you and work with you. And even if you decide not to move, like I would love to be able to just help you in any way that I possibly can. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it valuable, and I will catch you in my next video.